Greetings Terrarians, Khaios here. I have something special for you all today. The map that you'll be seeing throughout this video is a custom base with a custom dungeon in it. It will be available for download in the description as well. The story behind the map creation, however, is a little bit different. As many of you all know, I recently created a Patreon account to help ensure that I can keep working on making videos for you all. Shortly after creating the account, I was approached by somebody making a very large donation. They wanted to get around the Patreon fees, however, and donate directly to my PayPal account. I was completely speechless and extremely thankful that they would give me some financial peace of mind during this very difficult time in my life. During that conversation, they asked if I would be willing to create a custom map for them. The map would be their vision of an ultimate base, complete with mass storage, crafting areas, housing for all NPCs, herb farms, and fishing ponds for all of the fishing quests. They even requested a customized dungeon entrance. I do offer custom builds as rewards on my Patreon account, but I limit the time that I spend on those builds to anywhere from 3 to 5 hours. And this person donated via PayPal, not Patreon. But since the amount of this donation was so high, I decided to work on this custom map for them as my way of saying thank you for the massive donation. They even offered to pay a little bit extra on top of the donation as a commission for me completing the map. So I set off on creating this detailed base for them. Nearly 18 hours worth of work into the map later, I was finished. Much longer than I would usually spend on a build, but it was the only way that I could think of thanking them for their massive generosity. Plus, the commission that they offered on top would more than make up for the time that I spent on the build. Unfortunately, once the map was completed, they blocked me, retracted their donation, and they never paid the additional commission, which left me in kind of a rough spot. I was stuck with this world save with a customized and detailed builds in it, and at first I wasn't sure what to do with that map. But I decided to work on it a little bit more to make it into something special for all of you. I removed the original dungeon, and I handcrafted a new one from scratch, which is laid out of more of a miniature challenge map than anything. All of the loot that you would normally find in a vanilla dungeon can be found within this new custom version. It just has some additional traps, puzzles, and secrets to it. Basically, I wanted to turn this entire negative situation into a big positive for you all. Since this map took a lot of my time that could normally be spent on making videos, I absolutely wanted to share it all with you and to ensure that you all can enjoy it. So let's take a look at some of the features of this map. So this is the world spawn point, and this will be the first thing that you see when you log in. If you're wondering about these walls along the edges, they're made with Tiedit. They're actually natural walls that are normally underground, but since I was doing a lot of this project in Tiedit, I thought it'd be nice to kind of make it look a little bit more detailed along the sides, and that's also why I have some flowered vines here as well. The first thing that you're going to see is that we have a bunch of storage and crafting over here to the left, some NPC houses to the left, which I'll take a look at in just a moment, and more to the right. But we also have an intricate elevator here, which you could fall all the way down through unless you hold up, in which case you will grab the rope. You could also get on your minecart and ride along the edges, and beneath the base, under the elevator, we have all of the fishing ponds. So this is the underground layer, but since this is a large world, the surface is actually below ground technically, but these fishing ponds are also on the surface, and it's going to be indicated by these signs. Above that, we have more fishing ponds way up into the sky. If you take this rope all of the way up, with ponds on both the left and the right. There's fewer up here because you need fewer sky fishing ponds. To the left of spawn, we have the main housing unit. It's kind of just a generic looking mass NPC house. The guide's already taken up one of the residents. Here, let's see which one he's living in. Over here at the end. Originally, the person who requested this build wanted all of the hard mode items in it, so that's why a lot of furniture is missing in here. There would be like a crystal ball up here, and this room down here is almost completely empty, but it had stuff like all of the mechanical crafting stations and stuff like that. However, I wanted this to be more of a starter world for everybody. Yes, there are hard mode materials in use here like palladium and a bunch of stuff that would be hard to obtain. However, if you were to harvest this build, it wouldn't impact your playthrough in any way. You couldn't actually build anything with those materials. Off to the right over here, we have more NPC houses, and they're themed. We have a tree house up here, and we also have what was going to be like a witch doctor's house, and it had the magical looking stations in it, but for now it's fairly empty. I did add a crimson altar here because the world is crimson, and if you wanted to craft things like boss summoners, I wanted that to be relatively near your base and make it fairly easy for you. And then we have some more generic NPC housing off over here to the right. On the other end, at the left, past the housing, we have our herb farm with all of the different herbs and some chests that are completely empty right now, though you could probably stash your herbs or seeds in them. And if we go underground here, we actually have a glowing mushroom farm. And all you need to do is pull the lever to get free mushrooms, and then you just wait a moment, and before long you'll see a line of glowing mushrooms heading up this track here. If you were to walk away from it, they'll just kind of pile up right here at the end. You could just pick them up, and then you could turn this off whenever you're done with it. The ones that are currently on the track will head up the track, but then the farm will not produce any more mushrooms. And the way this works is kind of interesting. So here's the glowing mushroom farm itself. I put it underground so that it wouldn't change the biome of the surface or anything like that. But what it does is it grows the mushrooms on these rows whenever it's not in use. However, if you were to activate the farm, it'll actuate all of these rows, carry the mushrooms and seeds that are on it up, and as you can see, glowing mushrooms can still produce mushrooms and seeds while they're actuated, and they'll just fall off. So if you leave that lever down, it will produce mushrooms constantly the entire time that the lever's down. So you could actually just AFK and farm continuously if you needed a ton of mushrooms for whatever reason. Speaking of glowing mushrooms, a little bit off to the right of the main base so that it doesn't darken the entire build, I do have a house and a small glowing mushroom biome specifically for the truffle whenever you enter hard mode. Saving the best for last, here is the custom dungeon. I tore down the original entrance that was in the version of the world that was sent to the person who was going to commission me because I wasn't completely happy with it. Instead, I decided to go with this, which is more of an overgrown, ruined version of the dungeon, which I'm very happy with. You may notice that there are background doors to the left and right beneath the build. That's because this world is a large world, and the dungeon happens to be particularly high up. And the underground is very, very far beneath the ground. When it came time to build the custom dungeon itself, I wanted to save a lot of time by getting rid of the extremely long tunnel entrance, which wouldn't have anything of value or interest in it anyway, and so I used 3 teleporters to take you there instantly. Yes, you normally wouldn't have teleporters pre-hard mode, but this is a custom world, so I'm not too worried about it. The only teleporters in use are the ones to get you in and out of the dungeon. To get into the dungeon, however, you have to unlock the doors blocking your path, which are made out of lizard brick, so you cannot mine your way through unless you cheat yourself a pickaxe in. The room is surrounded by lizard brick as well, so if you thought you would get around it that way, you can't. To open the door, all you have to do is remove the sword from the altar, which is found in the middle of the build. Just be sure that you kill Skeletron before heading into the dungeon itself, or else. The dungeon entrance is also customized to work well in hard mode with the cultists. If you don't like the pillars, feel free to knock them down. The cultists can still spawn on the ground, just make sure that you leave the middle pillar, as a ceiling is necessary in order for the cultists to spawn. If you would like to check out more detailed explanation on the spawn rules of the cultists, check out the description below. I'll leave a link to that video. I'm not going to show too much more regarding the dungeon, as I want you all to explore it and find all of the loot and secrets for yourself. Before I go, I just wanted to give a massive thank you to my generous Patreon supporters. I seriously cannot thank you enough for how much you're helping me. Thank you. And that's gonna do it for today. A customized world and the reason why I spent almost 24 hours on the world design. Again, there will be a download link to both normal and expert versions of this map in the description below. I hope you all enjoy it. Thank you all very much for watching. I'll catch you all later. Happy building.